Hey guys, in today's video, I wanted to share with you guys my master financial spreadsheet that tracks basically everything in my life. So it tracks my net worth, my income, my expenses, my investments, and also my bank accounts. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons I was able to set goals and also reach my net worth goal of $1 million back last year. Now, the first version of this I created was actually back in 2016, and at the time it just had my bank account balances and that was it. I have been updating it every single year and adding things to it, and I think I've gotten it to a pretty good place. Now, having something that tracks your monthly progressions over time is a really good tool to have because you get to see, one, how far you've come, and also set goals for where you want to be in the future. So I'm ready to basically share it with you guys all today. It's all going to be for free. It's all linked in the description below if you'd like to just copy my spreadsheet, but I'm going to show you guys exactly how it works. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I track all my expenses through a spending tracker app. So I do that with my iPhone, but then at the end of every month, I actually input it into this spreadsheet. At this point, you might be wondering, why don't I use something like mint.com or You Need a Budget or any one of those tracking apps? And the basic reason is that I want to be able to have complete understanding of my financial picture, and that includes cash investments or cash spending, excuse me, and also like even some investments like crypto that might not be included in mint.com. So I will want to preface this and say that the spreadsheet is super manual, but once you get it set up, it only takes me about 5 to 10 minutes every single month to update, and I really enjoy seeing all the data for every single month in the past and also just thinking about where I want to be in the future. So the first thing you'll notice about this spreadsheet is that there's this top left table right here, and I call this the yearly snapshot. So basically, as you fill in your income, which is in this income section right over here, and your expenses, it's going to basically summarize everything that goes on there. So let's say, for example, in January, I made $2,000 from TikTok and $2,000 from AdSense and $1,000 from sponsorships, and I made $0 elsewhere. I made $5,000 in the month of January, and as you can see, it automatically populates that because this is cell G11. Now, because I have no expenses yet, my overall profit and loss is still $5,000, which is great. And since my income is pre-tax income, you'll notice down here that I have another little table right here that tells me exactly how much I owe in taxes at the end of January. So based on last year, I know that my tax rate is about 37% effectively. So basically, I just multiplied my income times 37%, 0.37. And then I get my earnings after taxes right here at $31.50 a month. Now, once I do that, the earnings after taxes right here, this basically takes $5,000 and subtracts $18.50 from it. So those are my earnings after taxes. And yours will probably look a little bit different if you have a salaried job. So we're gonna get right into that after this. Then this table also sums up my personal expenses. It's $1,000 right now because it only includes some of my fixed expenses. But as you fill out this basic spreadsheet, it's going to basically aggregate all of this information and give you a really good complete picture. My favorite part of this little table is the spending percentage and the savings rate. So it tells me out of my income that I've earned so far out of the year, and of my expenses, how much am I spending and how much am I saving, which I think is a really good tool for everybody out there. So let's actually fill it out as if we earned $5,000 a month from a salaried job. This is how I would change it up. So I basically delete all of these other income sources, or maybe they're just side hustles. So maybe this is side hustle 2, side hustle 1. And then you have, your salaried job. So let's say your salaried job pays you $5,000 a month, and maybe you make $500 from a side hustle and $0 from side hustle 2. So in January, you've made $5,500. You can see that the income has changed, but now we need to fill in our spending tracker, or basically what our discretionary expenses are, our large purchases, and any of our fixed expenses, because then we're going to be able to get a full breakdown of our income minus our expenses to get our overall profit and loss. So these are the categories that I personally track every single month with a spending tracker on my phone. You don't have to do this. You can just use ballpark numbers for how much you spend on discretionary expenses a month and fill that out. But for me personally, I like to be very granular and I like to know where every dollar is going. So that's why I have it this way. So I'm just going to fill this out with hypothetical numbers. Everything in this spreadsheet so far is hypothetical. So let's just go ahead and fill it out together. I'm going to say I spent $25 on breakfast in the month of January, about $250 total on lunch, and $250 total on dinner. Now this is going out to eat. So this cell right here sums up the top 3 because that's usually separated in my spending tracker. And I like to know what my total amount eating out is. Then maybe I spend about $250 on gas a month because gas is pricey right now. Golf is one of those expenses that I always have because I love to go to the driving range and I love to play golf. So that this might look like something different for you. It might be a yoga class. It might be something that you spend money on recurring, like Fortnite V-Bucks, whatever you want to do. For me, it's usually about $100 in golf a month. I then have a general section. So in the general section goes anything that's not in this list already right here. So I personally put my haircuts in the general section. I get a haircut every month for about $35. In the treating people discretionary income, that's usually when I take someone out to eat. If I pay for their meal, so let's say it's $70 for a dinner for 2 people, I'll usually just put $70. So I don't even differentiate that, half of that dinner was my technical portion. I just lump it all into one. Then we have, normal expenses, groceries, gifts, entertainment, travel, dates, coffee. I like to have this a little bit separated just so I know what my coffee spend is because I sometimes like to go a little bit overboard there. So let's just say it's $50. Shopping and clothes, these are pretty similar. Sometimes I don't know why I have 2 separate categories for it. I could probably just lump them into one. But let's say I spend $100 on shopping and $0 on clothes a month. And usually my bar tab is usually pretty cheap. So let's say it's $20 a month. Snacks. Sometimes if I go to a grocery store and I just grab a random snack, it doesn't really fit in the breakfast, lunch, and dinner section. So I just put it in the snack section. Might be $5 a month. For development, this is anything that has to do with productivity or self-help or getting better about myself. So if I spend money on books, this is usually where it goes. So let's say I spend $50 a month on that. And then the last section, misc body. This is a funny one. I know it sounds kind of dirty or something like that, but it's really just like if I go to a chiropractor or I have a massage, I'll put it here. So let's say I spend $80 a month on a chiropractic appointment. So my total discretionary spend for this hypothetical January was $1,470. And then I just got to go through my large purchases. I like to have large purchases separated because I notice large purchases are a little bit lumpy and they don't really recur on a normal basis. So I like to have what my large purchases look like separated from my discretionary expenses. And then at the end of the year, what I can do is I can evaluate, hey, did I spend a little bit too much on the bigger purchases? Because those bigger purchases are usually the ones that make a big dent in your budget. So let's say I spent $1,000 on a gaming PC in the month of January, and maybe I spent, $400 on a plane ticket. That would probably go into large purchases. And what I would then do is I just make a note. So I would right click and click insert note, gaming PC. And then here I would put insert note, airplane ticket. That way, at the end of the year, I know exactly what those large purchases were without having to basically make a new row every single time I have a new large purchase. Okay, so this next section is the fixed expenses. This is where we might differ a little bit. So I don't have rent right now because I live at home, but I'm going to be moving out soon. So as you can see, my fixed expenses are actually quite low. They're only about $1,000 a month. All right, so we can see that our total expenses here are $3,870 for the month of January. And if we scroll back up, that should be automatically populated for us because this cell automatically grabs that. And as you can see in January, we earned $5,500 in income. We spent $3,870 in our expenses, and our overall profit and loss for that month was $1,629. If we go down to this little table, I've already modified this for the salaried position, but basically I just put 0 for owed taxes since this is now just after-tax earnings. And earnings after taxes is equal to $5,500. And our personal expenses, $3,870 for the month, as you can see. And that means we spent 70% of our income in January, and we're saving about 29.63%, which is the $1,629 here. Perfect. Then every single month, what I do at the very bottom here is I track all of my assets in the bank, in my investments, any assets that I have in my business account, and also any investment properties or any investments like that. For this spreadsheet in particular, I tracked my balances at the beginning of December 2020, December 1st, 2020, and then January 1st, 2021. And so as you can see in my Chase Bank, that's when I just write down manually what my bank balances are so I know exactly how much cash I have. And then for my investments, I track how they do from a month-to-month basis. And then for my investment property here, I have it appreciating 1% every single month. But that might not be the case. It might actually be 0.5% or it might be 2% a month. So this really just depends and is all kind of on you. But if we were to extrapolate this out, we could just kind of drag it out over here at 1% a month. And you can see the property value would go up pretty quickly, quite quickly. So that might not be realistic, but The point of this snapshot down here, this is the total net worth snapshot. And I really like seeing this because I really like to see how my net worth changes over time. So as we have this filled out, then we're gonna fill it out for February 1st, March 1st, April 1st, etc. On the 1st of every month, that's when I usually fill it out, or at the end of every single month on the 31st, really late at night. So that's something you do have to remember to do, but that doesn't really take me that long. I really have a good time. And let me show you guys the fun part of this whole spreadsheet, which are the charts. Okay guys, so this is what the spreadsheet looks like filled out. As you can see, the financial snapshot looks very beautiful. In this hypothetical example, we've made $122,000 in the year of 2021, which is great. All the income is filled out, all the spending tracker is filled out, as well as all the bank information. So as you can see, you can track every single thing in your financial life. And now let me show you guys the graphs because they are beautiful. If we scroll all the way to the right, we can see all of the graphs that we have done. Our discretionary spend was kept in check for the most part. As we can see, we've probably been spending a little bit too much in the month of August right here at $3,092. But overall, it's kind of hovering right around that $2,500 a month range. And then what I did was this chart will aggregate your entire breakdown of spending for the entire year. So I spent $6,886 eating out, $3,000 on fuel, and the next biggest category was $5,183 on treating people. This is going to give you a really good snapshot of where your money is going. And then as well, this graph is great as well because you can see your discretionary spend versus how much you spent on large purchases, which is making up for about 20% of my spend for this hypothetical year, as well as the fixed spending. Now, if I wanted to, I could add in savings here, but for now, this is just the spending breakdown. The savings is actually back in this original snapshot right up here, which is I had a 58.45% savings rate. I don't think that's accurate to what I actually saved in 2021. I think I saved way less than that, but this is just for this hypothetical example. If we scroll back to the YouTube subscribers, this is just something I like to track for fun because I am a YouTuber, so I like to track that. And then if we scroll all the way down here, we'll see my net worth over time graph. I love seeing this graph. And as you can see, it kind of fluctuates throughout the year. But if you're keeping track of all your bank balances and your investments on the 1st of every month or on the 30th of every month or 31st, this will automatically populate as well. So for example, let's say I just deleted all of this information and let's say it's September 1st. You'll see it doesn't completely fully populate yet, but as you add information into it, it will populate for you. So I think when it comes to having a good financial foundation in your life, it's really good to have a spreadsheet like this as your sidekick throughout the day. And I usually have it as a tab that's open on one of my browsers at all times. I know that this spreadsheet kind of takes it to an extreme level. Like it is overly overkill. Like you don't have to do all of this, but this was just an example of what I like to do to keep track of everything that's going on. So I will leave this as a free download for you guys below in the description. And if you like this content, please make sure to subscribe to the channel as well as check out my newsletter. It's called Hump Days. It comes out on Wednesdays and Sundays and we go over business and tech news there. It's completely free to sign up. There's over 5,000 subscribers now, so I'm really proud of that. And hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.